in Scotland, and here on my YouTube, I wanted to start spending more time sharing what I get up to in my studio. So, welcome, welcome if it's your first time, and welcome if you've been here before. I'm just going to turn you around to take a look at what I have on my actual table for today and what I want to get on with here in the studio today. So I'm just going to put you onto this handle here that I have over my table. And then we're going to get started with what I have today. I have some time that I want to spend today with you guys. I'm not going to make it more than an hour, I think. So let me just get my alarm system set up and then make sure that you guys can see what it is that's on my table. So Alexa, set alarm for 1 hour.
1 hour alarm set for 12:02 p.m.
Thank you very much. So yeah, so what I've been doing today already so far is I created these two pieces for my live TikTok that I just did earlier on today. And so now I wanted to expand on this a little bit and maybe do one of these for you guys as well, and then see if I am inspired to do something else. But I wanted to paint some owls today, and I really liked the way that this one turned out. So I will think of what I want to add next to this session. So I'm just going to find a space in my sketchbook to create some more artwork with you guys. Let's see. I already have some paintings I'd pre-drawn before, so I might work on some of those with some of my watercolors actually. This one here is an illustrated piece that I've done before, and I have some watercolors that I've been spritzing and prepping here with my little spray. So what I wanted to do was use some water-soluble actual mediums, and then I also have like water-soluble crayons as well. So watercolor, water-soluble mediums, then water pens as well. So I'm gonna go in with different colors here. Actually, do I want to use up this page? I'm trying to think. I really like the way that this illustration looks, but yeah, I'm gonna go in and start doing some work on this page. So how's you guys been doing? I have been having fun in the studio. As I said earlier, I've already spent some time recording on my TikTok live today, and I created some owls on that using the water-soluble paints. So I'm going to go ahead and create some artwork as well for you guys and just paint in some drawings that I have here on my sketchbook that I have not done since I've had them in here. So this is me actually starting to work on like a flower that I have in here. So I'm just going through using this water-soluble mediums today and wanting to experiment with that. I was on my live yesterday as well, and I was using acrylic paints. So I wanted something different for today, and that is what I'm getting up to. So having fun, just adding some of these layers into this here. And I'm trying to get myself really relaxed in how I am using my mediums, because I want to get better. So it's just to keep on going and having fun in the process. So yeah, I hope that you also get a chance to have a creative outlet of whatever it is that you enjoy doing. I really love working with different mediums, different subject matter to create artwork, because it's just so much fun. And as I'm creating with this here, if I don't like the way that something ends up, I can always use a different medium to go over that and to build the layers. So this is my bee here. I'm just adding some of these colors into it. Kind of like a coloring session today. I'm just going over and over, and I'll build the layers. So I'm having fun with that. So another one here. So similar rules again. I'm gonna add blue, and it's a turquoise actually, but I will come back in and add some other colors to this. So if you've had a chance to actually paint or draw, you know that it takes a little while to get some of these details in. So I wanted to give enough time so that we could spend time together here. I feel like this is almost a coloring page for me on this. So I had different brushes available that I was using today, and so I have a detailed one in here somewhere. That's what happens when you move your desk around a little bit. So yeah, I was drying them because they were a bit wet. So I have a filbert brush, and then I have also got here a round brush. I've got a detailed tiny round brush, and I've got a flat head, bigger one, and a flat smaller one. And this is what I've been using to paint in this art piece that I'm working on. So as I said, I'm using water-soluble paint to work on this, and I'm trying to be very flexible and free with how I'm doing stuff. So let's hope that it keeps on coming through. I've got a bird in here, so I'm gonna start trying to add this bird in. With this details. So I'm using a watercolor right now to add some of this in. It's not going to be realistic. This is just going to be what would I call it? Expressive, stylistic illustration, which I'm trying to be free, so it's going to be to get my actual hands just moving around and being very expressive. Basically the way that I've drawn it with a pencil is to now expand on that, really. So in my studio, I spend most of the day just creating artwork because I do actually do this for a living. So I'm always inspiring myself with different ways to use my mediums, because then that allows for creativity to grow and for me to be able to have stories to tell. And there's different ways to tell stories. This is how I imagine using our mediums, is because they help us express our stories in different ways. So it's really good to have different, a range of, I should say, methods of being able to use our tools to express ourselves. So that's what I take away from all of this. I'm trying to mix in different colors, adding some reds into this, trying to get this character to have a variety in his feathers. And take my time. So there's areas that will be shadowy as well. So I'm using watercolor now. This was originally the brush, but I am now going in using other colors. So let's see how far we get with the time we're on. And the details that we build into this as well. And it's just about using like different blues and mixing in different colors, and once it's all together it will look, see the variety in it. So I'm trying to think what color to make this plant here, because there's another plant behind our bird. for this bee here. So just add in and add in. And I'm just focusing on this middle area here at the moment. I'm gonna go back into the bird and try and get some other details in here. And I love to add color to my characters, and I am trying to be conscious of figuring out ways to make them really vibrant. So I'm using a detail brush here. I could use a bigger brush. Right, there's some leaves in here somewhere as well. Trying to see how to add this in. There's another flower here actually. Let me try and do that as well. I'm just gonna leave these all. I could turn this into a different color, maybe a purple flower. So I'm using the woody here, and this is water soluble. And what I can do with it is just put some water on it, and actually I could draw it straight on, or I can use my detail brush and actually start putting in some details into it as well. You can use an even smaller brush than this. So I'm trying to use water soluble mediums for this and to practice that. And you can build layers and layer upon layer on this. There's so many things you have to think about when you're creating artwork that you don't always think about till you're doing the actual artwork. Like if I started from this side this way, my hand wouldn't have started getting into the paint. Like now when I was trying to do this, my hand's getting into the paint here. So there's so much involved, and the more that we practice being creative, then it will be something we will learn in the actual activity of doing it. So I've added some of this color here. I'm gonna add another one here. So this is a different purple from this one. So that's two different colors. So I am now gonna use this one and see what this looks like being added. I'm trying to be very mindful of similar tones, values being added together, and that enriches the actual art piece. But this isn't based on a realistic, I mean, I drew the images from resources, but the way I'm painting it in, I'm just feeling my way really. I should have my actual resource in front of me if I want to make it a bit more realistic. So I'm getting the impression for this. Am I trying to bail on this? I might add a bit more, and then I'm gonna go into other areas. But you can take your time and really work on that. So, like the beak, I want to get this beak. So the beak is very, let's see. And the thing for me is also, because I like to mix my mediums, I could always end up putting acrylic paint over this. So I am not really fussed about that aspect of it, but I do want to be able to practice with just my watercolor. And I don't use my watercolor the way a lot of other people use it. I'm quite heavy-handed with my watercolor because I'm used to using acrylic paint. So there's certain details that I like to see almost instantly, and so my watercolors are a bit more on the heavy side of things. So what I could do is, for a different texture, I could use my flat brush around here. So I want to add some of the blue in here. It's now gone a bit green there, but then I'd put some more blues over this and make it a lot darker. I'm gonna go into the branches, this branch. So this has been made lighter there, so this can be darker. I really like using my blues for shadows. I'm really just so it's like that whole mixing the colors. This is a tree branch, so let's add the tree branch here with that flat brush. I could have more brown in there, but let's see. Add in some of that burnt umber into it and making it darker. Very funny angle there, so let's say I add something over this bee here. Sorry, bee. To kind of try and show that this tree has a bit more of a structure. So not every piece of artwork we do is going to be a pass, whatever that is in our heads, but for me it's the actual just doing it, process of doing it. So what else I want to add into this? While I'm waiting for Aries to dry, I'm going to add some leaves, and it's going to be interesting because it makes no sense. It's not based on anything realistic, but I am going to do it. So I'm going to add some leaves. This is what we call artistic license, people. So I'm going to add one here, and then, wow, not enough water on that. Let's try this again. I love doing this with acrylic paint. So, and with acrylic paint, the layers underneath, what I tend to do is scratch. I would scratch through. So this tool here is just like a barbecue, what would I call it again? A stick, basically, you use for barbecues. And I would scratch into this and get these veins in the leaves. And the reason actually those are darker, I'm thinking, is because it's scratching into the paper. So that's really interesting effect. But with acrylic, if you have the layers underneath, what happens is you end up basically having the color underneath come through. So you can then end up getting that color underneath. So scratching in, it's going into the physical paper, and it is marking that the water is pooling there. So it's an interesting watercolor result for that. So yeah, I'm just throwing leaves in just because a lot of my sketches actually are experimental to see what I can do, what I can get. So I don't mind what the result is. If it's something I'm very specific about, then I will be picky. I would have planned that out, but this is me playing. This is what I've told myself these last days, is to play with my artwork, play and see what my tools can do, and this is exciting. That's all I've got to say, because I did not expect to do that with the actual to get those veins. They look really nice, really nice. So where else do I want to end up? I mean, painting can change so much. I am adding different colors in here, so there's a bit of a red in this one for my leaf. Playing around with this. Right, do some more scratching. So this is not watercolor paper, this is in my sketchbook, and I am deciding to just play with that and create with watercolor, because I'm not really fussed what I use my watercolor on, because I use different mediums. I'm always very free with where I'm doing things. But if you want to do something specific, you know, to use the specific watercolor effect, then go ahead and do that. But for myself, there's other ways I can work with the medium, because if I didn't like any of this, but I want to still add to it, I can wait till it dries, put a layer of gel medium or put a layer of clear gesso, and then I can start again adding layers and being very specific about areas on this. So where I am seems to be that people are definitely getting into the spring season, because a lot of grass cutting is going on now. The sounds we forget when we're in the winter season. So yeah, should I put one more there maybe? This is very experimental. Let's see. So I will probably try painting something else after this and see. So I've added to the page. The page was blank. I've had this page like this for a long time with this bird on it, and I just thought I wanted to add to that just now. So I did. This one I didn't mix in any extra colors. It is like an ultramarine. No, this is like a Prussian blue color. So wow, that is really interesting the way that it's dried. What else could I add to this? I'm trying to think. So I have my color pencil, and I could just, what would I do? Just color some areas in and brighten it up in the background, just because so there we go. No rhyme or reason. It's your sketchbook. You can do what you want with it. And that's another thing that is interesting, because I can play in here and I don't have to share it with you guys, but because I know that this is informing my practice and I'm learning things about my tools, and I am not scared about that. I don't mind sharing that. So this is how we learn. I am an art kind of, I love my abstract stuff. So I tend to be very with how I work my pieces. So this is, I think this is a water-soluble crayon. I better check that before I get any further. Let's see. Oh no, it's not. I need to get rid of that one. Right, let me get a water-soluble one. This is a water-soluble one. So and then it's like a really warm color. So let's blend this one in. Actually, the issue what you would have is with this is sometimes you probably want to gesso this before you start painting on it, even the watercolor, because it can peel. I think that is what it is, that using the thinner paper is not necessarily a good idea because of that. Because I'm noticing that right now. But what you can do is you can gesso it with like the clear gesso. Where is my clear gesso? It's somewhere in front of me, and oh, here we go. So with the clear gesso, you can put a layer in, and then before you work on it again, and you can build the layers of acrylic paint from there as well. So I've added that in, this orange. I'm not really digging the orange. And that's what I'm saying, where we can then paint other colors in and start doing something else. So I also had, but it's not water, well, it's water-based, like spray paint here as well that I have. Maybe I should use the yellow actually. So the theme is water. This is not water-based, but it is, I mean, it's not water-soluble, but it's water-based. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, it'd be nice to add some kind of a spray paint effect, possibly in this corner. Don't know about over in this middle bit. Just shaking it to make sure it's mixed in a bit. So let's try it. Let's see what happens. As I said, experimenting, so put some over this bit. So that's a little bit. I have an orange. I have an orange somewhere. Where have I put my orange spray paint? Okay, that's interesting, but I have an orange spray paint as well that I could have used over this. I feel like I want to bring in some pink though. So the water-based one we can actually use indoors a little bit safer than if we were using any other one. So I am starting to layer this now. Starting off with the water-based stuff. Right, this is pink, so I want to stay around the areas that have some pink in it. So that's splatter. And then you can do some different things with it. So you can move it around. Let's see. With like my shaping, no, this is a catalyst wedge actually. I can move some things around. I actually like the way it is. I can take some areas and move it around. Add some of my white. Let's see. I think I'll use my flat brush. So my white is actually mixed with a little bit of orange, so it's not pure white. And I can end up mixing this into the spray paint and moving that color around really interestingly through the piece. This is how we can start doing things, adding layers. I love the dots as well. Going over this blue a little bit. And remember, this is a watercolor because I didn't seal it, so it is kind of see-through. Coming over to the bird, I'm adding some into the bird, the watercolor. You don't have to rub it too much because it will spread. So yeah, I really think that's an interesting area now compared to what it was before. And I can let that dry. And this area here, I can come back in with some more watercolor and fill this in. And because I have this dynamic part here in the front, I can end up coming into this area and add in something similar. So let's see, I've got some pink, like a pink water soluble crayon. I'm just gonna add that in as well and carry that pink, which is like a sunset there, isn't it? I've not really added that much green, I'm thinking, but if I sealed this in, I could maybe add green in the next layer. So, but yeah, this is just what I've played with for this page. That is an interesting result. Did not see this coming. And I can do more here once it is. Oh, should I add some more now? Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna add this one. So it's kind of I have to go back and forth and add light and take it away. And build back up the layers. So this is like the bee. And its wings, and you would just build up more layers. And different colors will come through, and I'm gonna go into the yellows and the bees. Let's see what this looks like. It's not enough white on that. But yeah, just build in different layers. If I added my white into that. So I'm just mixing a bit of white to the side with some of the water-soluble yellow. So that does add something to it. Right, let me see something. Right. So yeah, I would just keep building and building. So in this area here, to make this stick out, I'll just use this pen. Yeah, and I would just keep building and building. But yeah, I'm gonna leave this one alone and go on to another piece, because I think that I've done all I can do for this at the moment. It needs to dry. Right, what should I do next? I'm trying to figure out if I wanted to. Right, let's see. I love doing my portraits, so I think I want to do a portrait next and take my time creating one of those. I've been adding a lot more details into some of these portraits I've been doing, so I am trying to practice a bit more. I've got on my sketchbook here, on my notebook, I have these pieces that I'm trying to make, which will have words on them. So I'm gonna go on and try and figure out some more of that detail here. So what I've been finding is that I should probably have, again, a resource in front of me when I'm doing this, but I love to just see where my pencil marks and things take me. So it's just something that each of the marks is telling a story, and I just like to go with that. So right now I'm precariously adding some details to make up a nose, and then the eyes. Let's just put that there. So what I've been finding with my eyes is that I make them very big, and I am trying to work out, the more I'm doing them, trying to work out how to make them a lot more, much smaller, but still have their impact. I mean, just having a big eye does not mean it is going to necessarily tell us a story, so I am going for that. Also, like I did with one of the pieces I did before, I like to put writing in my, like expressive writing onto my pieces. So I am doing that now. So each time I'm creating something, there's like a whole thought process going through my head of prompts I have if I feel like I'm getting stuck. So some things I will do as a way to prompt, oh yes, I do that, other things that I do that are my signature stuff or symbolism. If I feel like I'm ever getting stuck about something, I go into those things. I start having the conversation of what is important to me and what I want to say and all sorts of stuff. So I need to also spend way more time creating the artwork because I feel like I'm spending too little time on some of my art pieces. So I'm thinking I need to spend more time. And then working out how I want my characters to look as well. And there's different things that I usually add in my artwork, which I'm starting to want to do more of, which is I always usually add a bird in here. It's a very, I did it for a lot of my characters that I created illustrative wise, the animals, and I've started trying to see if I can work out a way to make it in a way that I like, because so far they still look quite creepy. So I am trying to work out how to make them look really, really pretty. That is basically the theme. It's like, how do you make a bird in someone's forehead to the side pretty? And the purpose of why I do that is this idea of symbiotic relationships, of nature, living in an ecosystem together. At least that's the way I like to look at it. So thinking of the different animals that live together in harmony. And so in a lot of the animals that I used to create, very abstracted pieces, I would always have those characters in there. But also for the human perspective is one of their own private thoughts. That's the representation I thought of having for that was a bird. I don't know, I'm sure there's different animals that people could decide to put as a representation of private thoughts and of a place of solace, but I decided that it was going to be the birds, and that was what I went with for myself. Because they were just aesthetically more pleasing to me for that. So I'm gonna use the water-soluble tools that I have here yet again. I am just filling in some areas to get myself situated. But yeah, how to end up making these illustrations a bit more forthcoming in the way that I want it to be. So I'm looking at this and thinking, what else did I want to add? That's what, before I add the paint, I'm like, right, I like to add butterflies. So I am just adding the hair, doing some things with the hair here. And off this flow, I usually will add a butterfly somewhere. Just make sure you can see that. Right, so butterfly, I love to add flowers as well. So maybe if I had, I'll just put it here because I just want to add that. And I'm keeping this a very simple kind of a flower, but I want to be able to add like more of the peonies flowers, to be honest, more exotic. So because I want it to look like quite organic looking, I'll just do like 2 of these. So yeah, those are the 3 elements that I'm adding into this piece to, as I said, I put the writing, I put like my animals that I like to put, I put a portrait saying something. Sometimes they're looking more to the side than actually straightforward. So there's different ways that this can be. Put in some of the foundation areas before I go in. So this. Yeah, so I'm gonna add some of the different water soluble items I have here. I want this to be, I always start off like I'm drawing first of all, but let me start with the eyes. We see people start with the eyes. Let me start with the eyes and get into this. So let's do this. So the eyebrows. And then I'll fill in some of those areas. So it's just to create like something of interest for yourself. I love doing that. So this is a bird that is in its kind of its nest, and its nest is actually, yes it is, it's very uncomfortable to say, but it is in her head here. So how do I make this aesthetically, you know, pleasing? That is my quandary. I'm trying to think what colors I want to bring in. So doing these lives is like really slowing me down. I am taking my time. Experimenting. I'm mixing different colors into my watercolor here. So I'm hoping to have an array of colors in here by the time I'm finished. You can use bigger brushes, smaller brushes. I just want to be in the drawing mood right now. So, how to make this aesthetically pleasing, that's what I'm looking at right now. I have a feeling someone might be trying to deliver something to me. Let's say this is a Wednesday. My doorbell might go off. I'm hoping it doesn't, but there you go. And there we go. Might use a bigger brush. In a minute. Ooh, okay, hazel eyes. Sort of hazel eyes. You can see it starting to develop. I feel like this needs some kind of a more of a structure here. Am I gonna regret this? I want to use this brush and just add something in here. Please don't regret it. Okay, I like that. That's not too bad. So playing around with this now is interesting. I'm gonna leave that there and get back to my drawing because I'm scared. I don't really want to add any more than that. So it's like trying to build the layers. See, the mark making begins already. That was not planned. Let me see what I can do about that. Nothing. Basically nothing, so I'm just gonna spread some water around here. Let me use a round brush. I'm gonna use my round brush and add a lot of water into this and bring in some shadows here. So going a bit quiet because I am concentrating on what is going on here. So I'm liking the results of this. I'm being very careful though, which I don't know if I like that. That I am being very careful. I'm being very slow and trying to be thoughtful about my process. I'm not used to doing that. Right, I think this would be in shadow under this neck area. Watercolor is so much fun. Oh my gosh. So as I said, I usually use a lot of acrylic paint and I wanted to start just using some of the watercolor. So here I am and I just love what it is doing. And I can let some areas drip as well, so And then you can splash in some areas. Do I want to splash onto this? I don't know. The idea of like freckles, some sort of freckles. So let's see if that will do anything around her. Like, okay, a bit more. Freckles and around the... I'm gonna have to make this really light because I do not want it to overpower this. I'm really hoping this is light enough. Right, one more. Around her nose. Nope, this is not really... This is doing way more splashing than I want it to do. I'm just gonna do dots because I'm too scared. That is... I like the idea of like freckles, but I don't know if that's what's gonna come across with this. So I don't just want the shapes to be similar sizes. I want to just make it a little bit more interesting. I'm working with blues and browns here, and let's put a hint of some red in here. Actually, so many different examples of what I could do here. It's ridiculous. Just make that come down. And this is just being expressive and adding to areas and just being expressive. And as I said, I like to spread the color around. If I put it one place, I like to spread it around, so then it becomes like it's deliberate. That's the way to look at it, but it is a very interesting way to approach things, to say the least. Putting some of that color on the beak as well. And I want to put some of this kind of a green brown. It's actually burnt umber with the blue that is making that color. So let's see if the bird shadows. Right, go in there. So the bird's got some dimension. And then I'm trying to think what else to add to this. Let's see. Really like the way the face has gone. It's nice in the blues and the monochromatic colors. Purpley blue. Mixed in some kind of magenta with the blue. I'm gonna look at adding eyelashes next, so just some more of this purpley magenta blue color that's in here, and I'm gonna let that dry a bit, and then I'll come in with some more of that color here. And here as well, here as well. And it's really interesting how she's building up. I was petrified to start this. Absolutely petrified, but I really like how it's going so far. So I will start working with some lashes. Some details and areas. Okay. I am just adding layer on layer of interest, and it's just so much fun. And going into the eyelashes now. So and I'm trying to think where else I want to add some more details. So this is it's a lot of fun. Right, let's see, what else can I add to this? Just going over and over. So as I said, I wanted to use water-soluble pieces, mediums I mean, in this. I haven't used some of my brush pen. I might go into that in a minute, but I really love the way this watercolor has turned out. Chin area could maybe try and make a bit more prominent. My flowers I haven't actually done much with. I'm trying to think what colors I would use into this flowers here. Maybe still going in with what I'm currently using, very gently building that out. But I'm enjoying doing these lives, and if this is your first time here, like I'm saying, my name is Beatrice Ajayi. I'm an artist based in Glasgow in Scotland, and I love to share my art times and my studio times with you guys online. And also I've already done a TikTok this morning, and I created different subject matter from what I'm doing right now, but I am enjoying just playing around with this subject. I wanted to do a portrait after my last illustration. I think I'm enjoying this more. I haven't done portraits that often in the last couple of weeks, so I've been doing mostly landscapes, and you'll see that from the live I did yesterday. So this is a lot of fun. I actually end up enjoying watercolor so much every time I use it, and I never think about that. I always give it huge gaps, and then I come back to do it, and it's so much fun. So I've set my alarm for 1 hour to paint here with you guys today, and I'm hoping to have the stamina to keep doing this, like to do the lives, because it's actually a lot of fun. It actually saves me a lot of problems in setting up for my editing as well, because I have to get used to creating artwork live and sometimes explaining what I'm doing. Other times I'm completely silent because I have no idea what I'm doing. I am just doing it. I'm just being inspired to add to certain areas and not to others, and all sorts of stuff. So sometimes I will look like I'm bumbling, and this is what happens in the studio. This is the point of why I am sharing what I'm sharing, because you will see the points where I have no idea where to do it stuff. I might actually even scrap them right in front of you. That is how blatant it is. So I am coming out of my shell for being able to share like that and take away some of the mystery and, what would I call it? The legends around being an artist and what we do in our spaces, how we come up with ideas. We might do like maybe 100 different images that look like they're nothing, that look like they mean nothing. And then suddenly, from all that, we will remember what we went through in our experiences and then create something breathtaking, possibly, just possibly. So it's to get over that fear that someone might say something, that they might critique us in a negative way. And so to get people to understand what it really takes. Oh, that cannot be an hour. Alexa, stop. That is an hour already. Oh my goodness me. So yeah, I've really enjoyed working on this piece. And wow, if I decided not to do this today, I wouldn't have had this. And that's part of the whole thing of just pushing through in our creativity and having fun while we do it, because this girl looks epic to me. Epic. So I love her a lot. Watercolor, awesome. And there's so much more. I mean, I could have added collage to this because I love adding all my different mediums, but I'm trying to enjoy them individually for a bit to remind myself of their capabilities so that I can always come back in and start working on them in a different way again. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending the time. I am really enjoying myself, and I hope to see you tomorrow. I mean, this is so what I've done today is spent time on this with you. Um, and who could see this coming from me just pushing through this? I mean, this was not successful to me that much. I learned about what I could do, ideas. This was like an idea thing from a sketch that I already had. And the sketch was similar to like this one that I painted over. So I will be uploading this live to my actual channel as well. So you will be able to see how I started from the beginning and ended up with this piece. And I really love the way she turned out. It's so exciting. And I'll probably continue the rest of the day making some more of these pieces. But thank you so much for joining me here. I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. And I want you to also for yourself to have some time creating some artwork because it's so much fun and it does something for us. It takes time out from what's going on around us, gives us a place of respite. So I encourage you to do that for yourself as well. And you can check out what other videos I have on my channel here. Hopefully these lives will be more often so that I can expand what I have for you guys to watch in the studio. And maybe also going forward, some of the videos I'll create will be more in this keeping. Right now I do have beginning to end paintings on my channel. So yeah, check that out and I'll see you guys later. On my channel is Be Creative TV. So if you check that out, you'll be able to keep up with what else is going on. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Bye. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Beatrice Ajayi. I'm an artist based in Glasgow in Scotland and have the best rest of day.